And we're live.
With Paranormal Spirits. Place we come to get our booze on. Talk about the booze. Things that go bump in the night. And I get to do that with my booze. I'm Mike Black. To my left, I have the lovely and delicious Alyssa Black.
Hello. I love that I'm still delicious.
Across from me, I have my best friend, sidekick, confidant, the lovely and talented John Burkett.
Sexy man.
Sexy man.
I'm playing it up to best I can. So tonight we have a story about black magic and rituals and sacrifices and all kinds of good stuff. Before we do that, we're going to talk about all the places that you can come to find us. On YouTube, we are 3B Paranormal Spirits. On Facebook, we are Booze with Benefits. We have an Instagram account. We have a TikTok account. We have X. And all of those are paranormal _ dash, DASH spelled out, _ spirits. We have a website, which is paranormal-spirits.com. And from there, that's kind of a landing site. You can go to anywhere you want. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. And we also have a swag store there, Boozy's Boutique.
Swag.
And on the swag store, you can get your fancy paranormal-spirits, coffee cups, mugs, koozies.
Damn it. Just trying to show the koozie. I keep hitting this microphone.
No boom mics.
No boom mics.
But you can get just about anything you want to there. If it's swag, we just about have it. So that's all of our swag site with all the stuff that we have on it. I cannot talk.
Swaggy stuff.
Oh my gosh. And tonight, since this is a show about spirits, we're going to start off with spirits like we always do. And that's the alcohol spirits, the BOOZE. And tonight we are drinking the much lauded
It's Lafroig.
Lafroig 10.
Lafroig 10-year Isla single malt.
You have heard us speak about this many times.
About wanting to try it.
About wanting to try it. John has...
I've been through several bottles.
I
have some at home right now.
So, John, tell us about Lafroig 10.
Well, this is an Isla, a peated Isla Scotch.
Like Lagavulin?
Like Lagavulin.
Okay.
Yep. It is much more affordable than Lagavulin. It's about half the price. It's 86 proof. It is delicious. And it says here, it is the most richly flavored of all Scotch whiskeys. And it's rich. Some describe it as burning tires and Band-Aids.
Is it Mermaid's Bathwater?
Mermaid's Bathwater.
That's the one I always hear.
Yeah. And it is by appointment to His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, who's now the king. Distilled and supplier of, unless they're talking about the sun, I don't know. It's the distiller and supplier of single malt Scotch whiskies to the royal family. And by the way, it means Lafroig in Gaelic means the beautiful hollow by the broad bay.
The beautiful hollow by the broad bay.
By the broad bay.
Well, so just so you know, when you buy a bottle of Lafroig,
we're landowners in Scotland.
Yes.
Now.
Well, we have we have leased land. We don't actually
lifetime lease.
We have a lifetime lease on a square foot of
Isla.
Scottish soil.
Well, on Isla.
Isla.
Yeah. And mine is plot number 13 something. Yours is 12 something. I'm not sure how far away we are.
We're probably within spitting distance of each other.
But when you go to the distillery to visit, if you own a plot, they'll show you how to get to your plot. Give you a glass of scotch and a pair of Wellington boots to traipse through the peat bogs, and show you where your plot is in the peat bogs.
Is it an anchor so that you don't wash away?
Yeah.
something to fight off the low-flying geese.
Gives you a cool certificate. Like, I'm sure Mike can put his
I'll
certificate
throw
in the
my
editing.
certificate up there.
Yeah. And it doesn't cost you a ridiculous amount of money like that alleged Scottish Lord scam on the internet. Like,
I don't know about that.
Oh,
Scottish
you haven't seen
Lord
that?
scam?
Well, we might not want to diss them. They might want to advertise on the podcast. But
Oh, okay.
it makes a great gift. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'll have to look that up. So this thing, it looks like it has decent legs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It is thick and rich.
The nose, I do not get burning tires.
I can smell.
I get a little of that Band-Aid,
I get
that
peat.
iodine.
I get peat, smoke, Band-Aids, and if you let it linger, you smell the malt. Or I may just be used to it because I've drank so much of this stuff. But
So I get a little of them all. This doesn't smell as rich
well, it's 6 years younger.
as Lagavulin. So
We could go to Total and buy they have the 25-year.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure there's a price tag on it that I cannot afford.
25-year gas strength.
Yeah, and how much is it? $2,500 or something?
It's not that. It's not quite that
No.
bad. I don't think.
Not that bad. Alyssa, what do you think?
The price?
No, was it?
It smells a lot like
Similar to Lagavulin?
Lagavulin.
Okay.
But I smell in a lot of peat.
Yeah, I do too.
Alrighty. Ready for this?
I'm ready.
Yeah. Slanch.
This has long been awaited. Cilantro.
Yes, it has been. I'm really excited.
You're going to get some Band-Aid on your first taste. Some iodine for sure.
A lot of ethanol in that one too.
You do?
Like, well, to me, it's
Or is it just hot?
hotter than Lagavulin.
It's the same ABV. What I'll notice on my tongue, is almost this tingling, numbing effect.
Yes.
Medicinal. It's like you just took a swig of some medicine.
I'll tell you
In a
though.
good
It's
way.
also sweeter, I feel like, on
It
the
is.
tongue.
It is definitely sweeter.
I feel like it's sweeter. Like,
This
that was
has-
my first thought.
Okay, the finish on this isn't quite as long as Lagavulin, but it's got quite the finish on it. It hangs in there.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't just go away. You know.
You have that. Medicinal is the only way to describe it.
Yep.
Like I was telling Mike before we're recording, this stuff makes me want to stand on a beach, not a tropical beach, but
Not a tropical beach, mind
the
you.
rocky coastline of Islay being battered by the winds of the North Sea, or the Irish Sea. I guess it technically would be the Irish Sea. But anyway, wearing a cable knit sweater and some Wellington boots and a waxed, one of those waxed
Do you have to have one of the caps
a
that you pull
flat
down?
cap and smoke a pipe.
Look like you're
Smoke a pipe.
an extra on the set of Peaky Blinders or
Yeah,
something.
when you gotta have a pipe, when
Oh,
when
do you?
it curls down.
With the big bowl like that. Yeah.
So
Okay.
smoking some Syrian Latakia tobacco in it, that real strong pipe tobacco.
Okay, so I get a little more salt in this. I taste a little more of the sea in
yeah.
this than I do Lagavulin.
I agree.
Yeah, there's a little. It's got more of a salty taste to
Oh
it.
yeah, it's definitely tastes like the sea.
I like it.
I think that would be a proper substitute for
I thought so too. That's why I buy it because
Lagavulin.
I mean I have X amount left in the Lagavulin bottle, but this one can always be replaced with much less
Yeah,
financial pain.
for the price point, I think that. And what is the price point?
55. We'll just say 55. It's 51 at total, but here it's 55. So
Okay, so yeah, for the price point, I could pass over Lagavulin to get that if I were pinching pennies or concerned about.
pinch and pennies, you can buy like McCormick Scotch or something like that.
Oh no.
But
Or I could buy Pete's sake,
If you
Or
can find it.
Doers.
Or
That's the problem.
Scarabus.
Doers or
Scarabus is a decent peated.
I haven't seen though either one
blend.
of the peat sake is a total, like that's the only distributor,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then the Scarabus, I hadn't seen that.
I thought
anywhere.
we found that Pete's Sake said, yeah, we sell it other places too.
I thought
Total
it was
said-
You did. You found it was other
Total
places.
told us, oh, we're the only ones that carry it.
right.
'Cause
So
it had
it's
their name on it
exclusive to
even.
us. Yeah, I think so. I don't know, but the Scarabus, I don't think the Scarabus is bad. You know,
This is better than Scarabus.
this is better than Scarabus.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I do like Scarabus, though. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's not bad. It's really not. It's pretty good for the price.
And once you hit,
But for the little bit extra, you might as well get the Lefroy.
this has a brighter tasting malt to me than, and part of it's the age, right? So if you had a 16-year Lagavulin, I think that it would be, or
Lefroy.
Lefroy would be smoothed out a little bit more like the Lagavulin. I would like to try the Lefroy quarter cask. So it's aged in 1/4 size casks, so there's that much more interaction with the wood, where there's less wood surface area, so it's much more intensified versions of all of this, all of these flavors and smells, times 4.
Times 4?
Yeah, I would like to
Wow.
try that.
And
as
it's
well.
not that much more expensive. It's like $20 more than the regular one.
So, thumbs up on Lefroy.
I'd say.
Always.
Yeah.
It's also if you're in a restaurant and you're having a steak or something and you want a peaty scotch to go with it, they may charge you $25 or $20 for the Lefroy or Lagavulin for a glass of that. Usually this is about 14.
Oh, okay.
So,
So
Oh,
it's,
okay.
yeah, cool.
yeah.
All right.
Now put down on your list to get to try Ardbeg.
Ardbeg.
Arbeck, the wee beastie.
I don't recommend starting there. That's more peat than
Anything.
it's heavily peated. Like it's really rough. That's how I broke myself into peat was going through that.
I got to go try it.
Yeah,
then.
it would get that or
that
the
sounds like a challenge.
or the tin, just the Ardbeg
Yeah.
tin.
That sounds like a challenge.
And sometimes you can get it in the barbecue smoker thing instead of the box.
Oh well,
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah, Ardbeg is good too. Different taste, different peat taste. Mm-hmm. The peat reminds me of Lagavulin peat.
Very similar.
They're very close, the two distilleries, and I'm sure. But
The smoke probably wafts from one to the other.
then Ardbeg's peat is a much earthier
Oh, is it?
flavor rather than this oceany iodine thing.
Oceany iodine.
Yeah.
thing.
All right. Well, I'm down with Lefroy. So let's talk about the booze. And I warned you that this one's
BOOS.
yeah, the BOOS. I warned you that this one would be kind of dark with black magic and rituals and sacrifices and Ouija boards and
Of course.
Ouija boards. But anyway, right into it. So in 2009, there was a single mother, Debbie Guy, and her family, and they arrive at a brand new home. Now, this is the first home she's ever bought. She saved up for a long time. She was a hospice worker, so she didn't make and it didn't say hospice nurse, but it said hospice caregiver, which usually is paid quite a bit less than a nurse is. And so she had saved up for a really long time to buy this house. What she got was a 150-year-old Victorian-style home.
Where is this?
I'm getting there.
Oh.
On an acre of land in Zieglerville, Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah.
And Zieglerville is an unincorporated community. We were just talking about that earlier. In Lower Frederick Township in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. And it has roots dating all the way back to the 1800s. So anyway, this was her first home. She had saved up. They showed up, and this is in 2009. And along with her, Debbie's bringing her extended family. And this extended family includes her 28-year-old son, David, her 26-year-old daughter, Jody, along with Jody's two young children, There's a 5-year-old Zoe and a 7-year-old Craig. In addition to these children that actually belong to her, she has this informally adopted kid, 17-year-old Nick, and he's basically grown up with them and lived with them his whole life. I could not find out where Nick came from. Was he, like a neighbor's kid that, lived with them, or how this all came about. But anyway, Nick is a 17-year-old kid that lives with them, and he's been close with the family his whole life. So they get to the house. Debbie is employed full time, which means she drives out to aid and then drives back in. So, you're talking 10, 12 hours a day. But every spare minute that she gets, she pours into her new home. And she's going to transform this old Victorian house and return it back to its original state. That's her plan. And Debbie said, I knew I wanted to redo the whole place. That's what I had in mind when I bought it, was to remodel the house. Now, David, her oldest son, her son, David, is immediately overwhelmed when they get there by this strange feeling. The minute he walks in the place, something's watching me. It feels weird here. And David said, I remember it being pretty sudden. The feeling of thick air. That feeling of something else being there besides us. And, that creepy kind of feeling. So he's immediately bothered by this. And he just knows somebody's watching him. He said, quote, at first it was childish things, just little things. We didn't look at it as if it was ghosts. We just knew something wasn't right. So David, while puzzled by all these odd occurrences in the house that's happening and little things like that, Debbie is totally committed to rebuilding this house. And over the following month, Debbie, like David, is finding that there's some strangeness to this place. And they're finding that objects mysteriously move on their own. Lights flicker on and off. She would hear footsteps moving around the house, especially at night. And she begins to think maybe there's a spirit inside her house that's responsible for this stuff. Because it's not the kids, it's not the little ones. Debbie said, you can put a piece of paper down and turn around for that piece of paper and it's not there. And you'll find it somewhere else. I would hear footsteps an awful lot, and it wasn't the kids. And we were starting to question what else was there. So David and Debbie, although they're confused about, what they're experiencing in the house, not only do they have this paranormal type strangeness, weirdness going on, Nick is starting to show some alarming changes as well. And Nick had always been a good kid. He went to church every Sunday. He got good grades, solid group of friends, very polite, generally cheerful. But since moving into the house, Nick has turned more dark. He's becoming moody. He's secretive. He's hanging out in his room all day. He becomes distant from the rest of the family. And he started hiding things from Debbie and David. Eventually, this blew into, or developed into, these explosive, outbursts that he would have. And so they realize he's becoming more rebellious, way beyond what a normal 17-year-old kid would be, right? So Debbie decides, hey, I've got to figure out what's going on. Is this kid doing drugs? Or, is he just going through a hard spot? What's going on? So Debbie starts digging around in Nick's room. And during some of her investigation, she discovers that Nick when she walks into the room, she sees that he has painted pentagrams on the walls.
Of his bedroom?
Yes, in his bedroom. He's painted these pentagrams on the walls. He's got these dark candles set up in front of him, burning these candles.
Is he into listening to heavy metal music?
He is listening to heavy metal music. Hey, now I love my heavy metal, but
Must be Satan.
it must be. But
Repping my ghost shirt.
so she also finds up underneath the bed, she finds this book on witchcraft. And so anyway, he's got all these things going on. So and if she doesn't have enough going on with taking care of the new home, all this stuff going on in the house with the sounds and the things moving by themselves and things like that, and a rebellious teen who's dabbling around, with witchcraft and dark magic and all this, she injures her back while at work lifting a patient. And she does a pretty good job of it because she has to undergo surgery. So when she undergoes surgery, everything kind of goes on pause. And she's laid up and recuperating. She was upstairs. She moved downstairs into the first floor and to open a room down there. And so she's getting awakened at night by the pain. And now Jody is helping her. Jody's there, giving her meds, making sure she's got water, making sure she's got food, making sure she gets bathed. But she's getting awakened by pain throughout the night. And when she wakes up, there is an apparition of a young girl that's showing up in her bedroom. Debbie said she was like from the early 1900s or late 1800s. You could tell by the clothing. I was like, okay, I'm just going to close my eyes and she'll be gone. And sometimes she was, sometimes she wasn't. Other times she would still be in the room with her, but like moved over to another part of the room. And so anyway, Debbie's kind of like, it's kind of freaky that we have this going on, but it's nice to know that I'm not crazy. I'm not hearing things. David's not crazy. David's not hearing things. There really is something going on in the house, and we think it's this girl. It's haunted. And she said, I was actually happy to see that there was something else there, that this wasn't just me hearing things or feeling something. I was like, as long as you don't hurt us and don't bother us,
We won't hurt
you're
you.
fine. You lived here before or whatever. We're cool. So it took about 2 months of recovery, and Debbie was going back to work after her surgery. So during this time, Nick gets a new girlfriend. Remember Nick, the 17-year-old kid, got a new girlfriend, Alicia, and she is even darker than Nick is. She's into witchcraft, and she's converting Nick over to this. So Nick and his new girlfriend Alicia are working hard to summon spirits, and they're doing this with
A Ouija board.
a Ouija board.
Wait, is it a Ouija board or an Ouija
It's
board?
And a Ouija board if it's me,
And a Ouija board.
but if it's Zach Bagan's, it's a Ouija board.
He throws an
So-
extra syllable in
A
it.
Ouija board. So anyway, they're trying to summon these spirits, right? So one day David's.
Do we know why?
Just that's what they're into right now. I don't know why.
Interesting.
Did the house cause him to do this, or was he just doing it and that caused some of the stuff in the house? Who knows?
Nick.
Or did his girlfriend Alicia bring it over? Who knows where it came from? But obviously,
It's happening.
it's happening.
So he's gone goth.
He's totally goth. He's way goth. And so one day, David is moving around the house, and he's, doing repairs for his mom and stuff like that. And he goes down into the basement when he gets down into the basement, he hears this chanting, this, Latin sounding words and stuff like that, right?
Oh,
he gets
no.
he gets down into the basement.
E pluribus unum.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. E pluribus unum. It's funny.
Secundisum.
Yeah, nefarious and all that. So anyway, in the basement on the floor, there are pentagrams drawn out.
There are. Absolutely, there are.
Veni, vidi, vici.
Black.
Vino veritas.
Black candles. And Nick and Alicia. Nick and Alicia are completely dressed in black.
Oh.
Huh?
I thought you was naked. Like they were actually doing a real hardcore
Like sun. What is it?
like a
sky
black,
sky worship.
a naked black
No.
mass and
No. So they're down there and they're dressed all in black. And anyway, David gets down there and he goes, there was nothing subtle about the change in him, referring to Nick. He said all of a sudden he's got candles everywhere and he felt like it was no problem. Nick felt like it was no problem. He said, and it wasn't a really big deal. He said, but it was a big deal to me. He said, we found pentagrams everywhere. Because we know he's drawing them up in his room. He's drawing them on the basement floor. He said, and I never really liked seeing pentagrams on anything, especially in the house when we're living in it. He said, it's almost like you're asking for it. You know what I mean? And, which I do know what you mean. And I agree. So anyway, David is like, crap, Mom's got so much going on with the house. And, trying to feed everybody in the house, I guess, because I don't know who all's working.
Ain't nobody working, apparently.
It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like Mom's the only one working. I don't know that. I'm guessing.
these kids they better be freaking working at that age.
Oh, my God.
Sounds
Yeah,
like
right?
They're freeloading's what they're doing, apparently.
That's what it sounds like. But I don't know. I don't know if they were working or not. And
Time
it
to
didn't
get
ever.
off the teat.
Well, they're down in the bottom on the Ouija.
Yeah. So David decides he's not going to tell his mom to protect her from worrying about Nick. She's got enough shit going on, right? But to protect Nick as well, because if his mom finds out, she's going to completely freak on Nick, right? So he's trying to help the kid. And so he put his foot down though, and he said, "No more of this shit in the house. You're not going to do this anymore." And that should have been the end of it.
Should.
But
Being the operative word there.
this podcast is Paranormal Spirits, and that's not where the story's going to end. Not on this podcast. It's got to go a little bit further.
What they conjure.
I'm getting to it. Give me time. So, since David had forbade Nick and
Alicia.
well,
It's Alyssa, actually, isn't it?
It's Alicia. Alicia. No, you're Alyssa. She's Alicia.
No, I know. I thought it's something else that we heard that it was Alyssa.
It's Alicia.
Thank goodness.
Okay. So
Don't feel too right. Tara and I were watching some murder, unsolved true crime thing or something, and the with the victim, it was that Snapped where women go
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
One of the murderesses was named Alyssa.
Oh, yep. We have
it's a
it in
popular
us.
name for crazy women.
I knew what you were going to say right there. I saw the bee forming.
You did see the bee forming, didn't you? So anyway, well, David told Nick, can't do this anymore. And that goes for Alicia too, in the house. So they decide, hey, we need to find another place so we can still continue
Great.
in our dark arts, right? To practice them. Mm-hmm. So they find a new spot about a mile away. At a local cemetery.
I was going to say, is it a cemetery?
It is
How
a
did I know that was
cemetery.
going to
It
count?
makes it easier.
I mean,
to
even
dig up
on
the dead
the-
man's hand, if you need cemetery dirt too, you're already there. You just got it.
Even on the Ouija board, when you go, the rules for the Ouija board, you never play alone, and you always say goodbye. Well, what's the other one? Is never do it in a graveyard, in a cemetery.
I would have thought, is that actually on the box?
Yeah, it's on the box. It's in the box. The rules, don't do it in a graveyard.
What's on the box should be, don't buy this product.
Well, they want you to buy it. So, anyway, Nick and Alicia, they find a new spot, and they're going to use the graveyard. So, during one of their Ouija sessions at the graveyard, Nick and Alicia are attempting to summon a dark entity. and they succeed. At the conclusion of the ritual, they felt this evil presence, and they both see this large black shadow figure across the cemetery that starts moving towards them. It's coming towards them across the cemetery, followed by an almost deafening growl. This thing growls out at them. The teens are out of there. Hopped in the car. They come home.
Bringing it with them.
They get home. They jump out of the car. They run the house. They look out the window, and what do they see?
Homie's coming.
The dark figure is standing outside.
Of course he is.
And so Nick is like crapping his pants, and he's like, I got to tell David, what do I do? I'm scared. So he goes and tells David.
And stupid.
And stupid. So David said, quote, I remember him saying somebody's standing outside. I look out the window and there's somebody standing across the street. I see him just standing there staring at the house. I go outside and looked where he was, and he was gone. I came back in. Nick was still white as a ghost. I didn't want to believe it. I really didn't want to think he had invited something in. I was shaken too because I had seen that person standing out there. So David saw it. Nick saw it. Alicia saw it. Everybody's seeing this thing.
So David
right?
thinks it's a person. It's not just a black shadow figure like what they had said.
No, it's something else. He says, I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to think they had invited something in. So he knows that it's some kind of hoodoo or something. So David, at this point, he said, it's gone too far. I got to tell Debbie. I got to tell Mom. So he goes and he tells Debbie. And he tells her that Nick and Alicia have been practicing, summoning spirits with this Ouija board and all that. And Debbie said, I fully explained to my children that I never wanted to see one on my property. Kids do not realize what that board does. It opens things up that you can't close. So David had enough at this point. He put the Ouija board in the trash. He's going to get rid of it. And despite the encounter with the shadow figure and spirit, whatever this thing was, and the warnings to stop dabbling with this crap, Nick just can't give it up. So he comes into the basement one day and hears this talking and chanting stuff going on, right? He gets down in the basement, and guess who's in the basement? Nick's in the basement again with the Ouija board.
By himself?
We bought another one?
By himself. David confronts Nick and says, hey, I just got rid of that thing. Nick says, no, you didn't. I found it right where I left it. In the basement. So David decides he simply can't trust Nick anymore. He says Nick's going to dig it out of the trash. He's going to put it back in here. He says, I'm going to know this time whether that little joker actually went and got it out of the trash. So what he does, he takes his knife out and he scratches a big X on the back of it. Okay. Puts it in the trash and waits for the trash truck to come. When the
This sounds like the last story we talked about.
Throws it in the trash. Trash truck takes it away. And he watches it. A few days later, board shows up again.
Gosh dang.
This time David thinks he's losing his mind because the same mark that he put on the board is on this board.
Huh.
So either someone duplicated that board, the mark that he put on it, or the board has come back.
The board has come back, sir.
David said, I saw the same Ouija board again with a mark on it. I was pretty scared to know that it found its way back again. There it was. I knew we were in trouble.
Yeah, you are.
Mm-hmm. So Debbie tried burning it. She decides, I'm going to take care of this.
You're not supposed to do that.
She takes it outside, puts it on the trash pile, douses it with lighter fluid.
Nope. That's wrong.
Lights it up, won't burn.
Of course not.
Well, even if it did, that's just the way
I know you're not supposed to
you're
do
gonna
that.
get attached for
Right.
life if you burn the board.
So-
you got to bury it face down, cover it with salt.
Put crows on each corner
I don't know about the crows on each order, but bury it.
in mason jars with gelatinous fluid in it.
Or you send it away with the trash man, But probably
It's going to come back.
probably that one needs to be buried in consecrated ground.
So,
Blessed.
And
so she
covered in
tried. Debbie tried burning it with the lighter fluid. Didn't work.
Oh,
So she used gasoline to try to burn it.
wow. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Didn't work. It wouldn't burn. She could not get this thing to burn. So she broke it into pieces. She broke it into 4 pieces. Threw it in the trash. All right. She has decided Nick's got to go. He cannot stay here anymore.
If you're going to break it into pieces, do 7 pieces before you bury it.
Yeah. Is there that like written somewhere?
There's
or-
methods, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No.
Burning's the last damn thing.
She didn't break it into 7 pieces. She broke it into 4. So she didn't know. Hell, obviously she didn't know because she tried
That's
to
the
burn
playing
the
with
thing,
it.
you
Yeah,
know?
she's trying to burn it, yeah.
These people don't know really how to deal with them, do they?
But no. So anyway, Debbie has decided this kid's out of here. He can't stay here anymore. She has known this child since birth, so his whole life.
I thought it was her. This Nick was her kid, right?
No, Nick is
no,
not her kid.
Nick is the other kid. We don't know where he came from, but he was the one.
He just
that,
showed up one day.
no, he's
Did
always
you
been
not-
with the family.
He wasn't listening at the first when we talked about his
I thought it
extended
was
family.
what there was
Yeah, David, Jody.
David and Jody. Okay,
That's her daughter, Jody. She has 2 kids.
both adults.
Yes, they're both adults. Nick is a 17-year-old.
The one that we're not sure. It's not her biological child. It's not.
I told you I was going to have to get a whiteboard.
I know. It's
You're
not
gonna have
Debbie's
to break
bi-
this down with
Oh, my God.
like
It's
David
not,
Jody.
yarn.
it's
from
not
each-
Debbie's biological child.
Thank you.
It's.
Let's move on.
We're not sure why he's. But
Just some kid that lives in the house.
he's been living them. Yes,
She's known him his whole life.
godly figure he was.
Okay,
They said went to church. Good boy. Good kid.
it was. So she's known him his whole life, and she can't just kick him out on the street. You know, at one point, this kid was, just a great kid, churchgoer, all that good stuff.
He's probably 18 by now. Just take him down to the recruiting office and they'll handle it.
Let the entity follow him.
Let the Marines handle it.
So anyway, because she's got to get rid of him, she has found a dagger in his room that's
You
bloodstained.
need that for.
Yeah. Bloodstained dagger in his room, and so she's going to talk to him. So she pleads with Nick and says, look, you got to tell me what's going on. So finally he confesses to Debbie what's been going on. He tells her that he and Alicia have been casting spells,
Check. We know this.
bad spells. Spells that ask for misfortune, blood, sickness, and death. So
These kids need a job. Right? That's too much time on their hands, right?
So Nick is...
I don't have time to do that.
Nick is obviously deeply troubled. And he also confesses to Debbie that not only did they cast the spells, that they had also sacrificed
Oh gosh.
a stray cat
No.
as a blood offering during one of the rituals.
Bless it. I bet it was a black one too.
Debbie is floored. She cannot believe what she's hearing. She tells him, "You have to go.
No.
You have to go."
No, about the kitty cat, not about
You
Nick.
could at
yeah,
least
he's gotta go.
sacrifice the animal that you're going to eat, right? So that.
Like a goat. Like,
Yeah.
Well, don't say that for Terrence.
So
Like a chicken or a
some people eat cats.
cow.
Yeah, let's carry a cow to the basement.
Actually, quite common in the ancient world to sacrifice a bull or a cow.
hard getting them in the basement, though.
Hard to get them in the basement, but it's easy
Okay.
to get a
Cat.
chicken.
I'm
in the
sure those
basement.
cats are plentiful.
Yeah.
Chickens
So anyway, they
Ducks.
Maybe not in Pennsylvania.
sacrifice the cat, and he fesses up to Debbie. Debbie's like, "You gotta go."
Bye-bye.
She helps to find a facility to get him into to get some help.
Okay.
So, anyway, Nick's gone. Out of the picture. Phooey. Got rid of the Ouija board, got rid of Nick.
I'm sure you didn't get rid of the Ouija board.
They broke it into pieces, threw it in the trash, it's gone, right?
Okay.
Okay. So now, Nick's not there anymore. They have an open bedroom upstairs, so they take and they move little Zoe. Now, Zoe is Jody's daughter, who is, I believe, 5 years old, 7 years old.
I would not be...
Into the pentagram room?
Yeah, apparently.
His room.
Great.
And not long after she gets into that room, then stuff starts happening to her too.
Of course.
And they put Zoe down to sleep one night. She comes running down the stairs, screaming that there is a boy outside of the window. Now, this is on the second floor. And the boy is looking in the window at her. Zoe tells Jody and Debbie that the boy's name is Jacob. They dismiss this. It's just a bad dream. Reassure that there's no one up there. It's the second floor. There's no way you could get up there.
Then they just went to this other thing. You think they would know already. They just went through this whole other thing.
Well, this is new, though. This is new, that she's had a nightmare. Kids have nightmares all the time. You know, it's a nightmare. And that's what they assumed, you know. So anyway, Jody decides it may be that Craig should swap rooms. That's her.
Who's Craig?
He's the son.
Zoe and Craig are Jody's children.
Is he older?
Yes, about 2 years.
Okay.
She's 5, he's 7, I believe.
Oh, it's still not good.
So they put Craig in Nick's old room, which is now will be Zoe's old room because she's moving out.
The devil room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So almost immediately upon moving in, Craig is also tormented by Jacob.
Bless it.
So a few nights after he gets in there, Debbie goes in to check on Craig, and she finds the covers are off the bed and on the floor behind the dresser. And she asks him, "Why are your covers behind the dresser?" To which he replies, "He keeps pulling them off of me." Mm-mm. "Who?" Debbie asks. Craig responds, "Jacob."
But now, had Craig talked to the 5-year-old, I can't remember her name.
Yeah, they
she
were just scamming Debbie.
I mean, he would have known. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Maybe
this
he
5-year-old,
overheard.
this 7-year-old got together and they scammed Debbie. They said, "Hey,
but he might have heard his sister
Grandma's
say,
Grandma's tripping
the
because of
name
Nick. Let's
Jacob,
jack
right?
with her."
Yeah, I mean, 7 and 5-year-olds. I mean, they will repeat
Sure.
each other.
he
They
might
do.
have heard the name Jacob.
Okay, and that could have been
I'm just saying.
that. Absolutely,
This is not a blind study. It's not like
No.
they kept them completely separated.
So then Debbie stays in the room, right?
no.
Oh.
Debbie, not stupid.
Debbie
She stayed in
said-
that haunted ass
Debbie's
room.
not
She gonna make the
stupid.
grandkids stay in there.
Debbie said, "We would notice the blankets or his belongings would be shoved behind the dresser or shoved under the bed. He'd wake up in the middle of the night screaming, and we started to get worried. You know, maybe this isn't just a nightmare. Maybe they haven't, Zoe and Craig haven't been talking. Maybe there really is something going on." So David, her oldest son, sets up a laptop as a monitor so that he can watch what's really going on in the room. And as David is monitoring the camera from the living room, he sees the blankets fly off the bed and onto the floor, and with no explanation for what he saw. David said the camera overlooked the doorway, so if anybody had come in the room, he would have caught that person coming into the room. So David shows the video to his mother, and Debbie's like, completely freaked out again. Because, not only now we've got Nick with the sacrificing the cats, and now we've got, this thing, the ghost that's messing with her, all the noises, door slamming, that kind of stuff. So she's going to find some answers. So she decides she's going to go down to the local historical society and starts going through all the land titles and deeds and that kind of stuff, trying to figure out what's going on here. Evidently, there were 3 people that had owned the home before Debbie, Several had died in the house, to include a young girl who Debbie could not make out her name, and a young boy named, guess.
Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob. So Jacob died in the house. So Debbie stated it scared the hell out of her because now I realize this is real. This was as deep as Debbie could dig, because at some point in this little community, a fire had destroyed a bunch of the records, so they couldn't go any further back than what she was able to find. But she did find that Jacob had died in the home. So Debbie's at that place to where she's old enough, she's retiring, and she's getting out of healthcare. She's done. David, her son, has gotten a girlfriend now, and he's moving out of the house. So it's just going to be Debbie, Jody, and the 2 kids. David later said that he was mostly concerned for the well-being of the children, and Debbie was concerned too, but she felt like she was financially trapped and didn't have a choice but to stay with her daughter and the 2 grandchildren.
Where's Jody's baby daddy? Is he not in the... Is he another name that I missed in the...
No, he's
he
not
wasn't mentioned at all. There's not a baby daddy here. It's just...
Well, there's one. There's just not one there.
David, her son.
Right.
Jody.
David, Jody.
Her daughter.
Nick.
Who's
gone now.
And he's gone. You got Craig.
And
Zoe. The grandchildren.
I guess she booted Alicia when Nick left.
Well, Alicia wasn't living there.
Right.
That was just Nick's girlfriend.
Right.
Who was
Why
showing up
y'all
and
go do
killing
this devil
cats.
shit at Alicia's house.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
I'm not gonna tamp down your religious freedom, but go do it at her house.
And so, anyway, Jody and the 2 kids leave for the weekend. And so Debbie's here by herself. She decides, I'm getting rid of all these spirits in here. So she starts walking around the house, and she's reciting the Lord's Prayer and burning incense. And the last place she goes is the basement, where they sacrifice the cat.
Should probably start there so that you can walk out of the house when you get done.
She walks down into the basement. As she starts down the stairs into the basement, something growls at her. Right after it growls at her, it scratches her.
It's a ghost of that cat they sacrificed down there.
And then pushes her down the stairs. So after this, Debbie's like, I'm out. So when she gets up off the basement floor, she packs a bag. She takes off for the weekend too, so she's not there by herself.
She just leave the grandkids?
No, they're with Jody.
Remember
They left
Jody?
the weekend.
And the 2 grandkids left?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay.
She's by herself.
So she's there by herself.
So now the house is vacant. No one is
We do
there.
need a flow chart, like
No one's
a lot
there.
of characters in this.
So after the weekend, everybody comes back, and Debbie reaches out to a local pastor. And so the pastor comes over to bless the house. And as soon as the blessing begins, Debbie becomes violently ill. She's in writhing pain, and she's nauseated. The pastor explains to Debbie that she is being personally attacked, and she needs to pray. So they continue to pray together. The nausea and the pain relent. The pastor finishes blessing the house, and once the blessing was completed, Debbie said it was peaceful and it seemed good. For the first time, the house feels normal. So, problem solved.
It's never
Doubtful.
never on the first, never on the first try.
Problem solved. Okay.
Never happens like that.
So Debbie is comfortable with the house now. She decides, hey, I'm going to invite some company over. It's going to be normal now, right?
Oh, no.
So she invites a couple of her redneck buddies over, I guess, because they Scottish hello.
Yep.
So she invites some friends over.
That's how they say I love you in Isla.
One of them, one of her friends, decides they want to poke fun at the fact that Debbie tells them this house used to be haunted.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of that. You can pour.
There you go. I hit the curve there.
Thanks.
I'm good, thank you.
So this dude is walking around the house and he's snapping pictures and talking smack about there's no such thing as ghosts.
He gonna get slapped.
You're crazy, blah,
Scratched.
blah, blah. And he catches a picture of one and completely freaks him out. Him and his girlfriend, wife, whatever the other person that was there. And their deuces were out. So what this did, though, it stirred up this entity or whatever it was there that was haunting them. And so now they're back, and they're back with a vengeance. So Debbie contacts the Eastern Pennsylvania Paranormal Society. At the time, it was headed by a retired police officer, Bill Cook, and he agrees to lead an investigation at the house. So he comes over, and he's going to do this investigation with a few of the people from the Paranormal Society, along with Carrie Moran, and they're using a scientific approach. They bring in video equipment, still photography, audio recorders, infrared cameras, motion sensors.
This is this recent?
2009.
Okay, yeah. So you've got basically the same modern equipment, same equipment we have now.
Mm-hmm. So they got all the good stuff. They're going to cover the whole house. So they brought in quite a bit of equipment, upstairs, downstairs, and also in the basement. Now, Carrie, Bill is the cop. Carrie is a sensitive who's working with the team. And sensitives are people that can, pick up on stuff when they walk in a room or,
It's not a medium.
No, not a medium, but a sensitive. So she can feel things and can kind of pick up on the energy of the room and determine what kind of energy they're dealing with. So when she walks into the basement, she said, "Oh my God, they sacrificed a cat in here."
Oh.
But no one told her?
Debbie confirmed for Carrie that this had indeed happened. Carrie explained that once blood was introduced into a ritual, the blood acted as a binder, and it locked the curse or spell, and it would make it very difficult to eliminate a darker entity. Carrie said, quote, "When you have taken a life during a ritual, it's just the worst thing you could possibly do," end quote. Now, upstairs, another member of the team was attempting to record EVPs and which electronic voice phenomenon. She's trying to take pictures. She catches a photo of a little girl or a little girl spirit while she's up there. So after the investigation by the Eastern Pennsylvania Paranormal Society is over, the spirits reemerge with a vengeance. They come out even more, and they're harassing Debbie. She tells him, "Hey, this is going on. These things are still messing with me. I'm getting stomps and slams and door slamming and all this stuff." So they come back out for a second investigation. Bill's team believed that the house was haunted by those that had died there and an entity that was summoned by Nick and Alicia. So when they come out for that second investigation, or after the second investigation, they do a cleansing. And Bill and Carrie talk about how when they try to do the cleansings, they try to be cognizant and do the cleansing in a form that would be appealing to or in conjunction with, in coordination with the person's religious affiliation.
So the Catholic,
right.
You bring a Catholic priest. If you're,
there you go.
If you're, I get it.
Okay.
Or if you're not religious, you bring out some sort of like a Wiccan type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they did a cleansing, and so they're using sage. Smart. They're reading prayers, along with a script for Debbie to read when they're at the end of it. And the script is basically where she walks around the house loudly proclaiming that the house is hers and it doesn't belong to them. It's her house. So she's taking...
Not in my house.
Yeah, she's taking the house back over is what she's doing. Which, positive affirmation and all that, I think it's a good idea to do that anyway.
This
goes back to my hearing. So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean...
No, you're fine.
But where they always... Why is it always a Catholic priest? What if the people aren't? This
Yeah.
is what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
exactly, yeah.
They don't think that these entities are tied to one single religion.
I don't think they care
at all.
what religion you are.
No, I don't think they're
You know?
they're not angels, fallen angels, any of that nonsense.
I just don't think they care.
It's some sort of trans-dimensional being that they turn the spotlight on with that Ouija board, and
And now they're
Yeah.
not
like
leaving.
a bug light, they start
Yep.
coming in.
Well,
Exactly.
Especially with that blood.
So,
Apparently.
after they do the cleansing, Debbie said the house felt lighter. She actually felt that it worked this time.
She felt that
and-
the last time.
She did, but I mean,
I'm gonna give her
come
some
on.
I'm gonna give her the benefit of the
Come
doubt,
on.
but it wouldn't
The
be a
woman's been-
story on this podcast if it worked.
This woman's been through a lot.
It
Give her
works the first time.
give her a break. So,
I don't think it worked this time either.
well, she's had a pastor. She's had the Paranormal Society out a couple of times, and then they did the cleansing.
Hey, but this lady
And-
said once you shed blood and take a life,
Yeah,
She
but
did
I
say
would
that.
think that the bad thing would have followed little Nicky around
apparently
and
not.
left with him or gone to Alicia's
Apparently
house.
because the blood was shed in the basement.
Why was it attached to Nick? I mean, or
Well,
why
they
did it
conjured
have
it
to
in
be
the
attached?
cemetery.
because that's
It's-
the ones who conjured the damn
Right,
thing.
but why does it feel an affiliation to Nick? Does it owe
Yeah.
Nick anything?
Well, no, it wants Nick's soul.
Yeah, but like, so for instance, if you go out there and you summon up Cthulhu, and Cthulhu says, "John, you go. I've done it by the, I've read the script, Klaatu Varata Necta," and you tell this to Cthulhu, and Cthulhu goes, "Screw you! I'm going to do what I want,
It's
you
actually
puny
Cthulhu
human."
to relay it's different.
Can we not?
But,
I know, but you get what I mean,
Let's not.
So he doesn't owe anything to Nick.
oh no, it's a step on.
Yeah.
Cthulhu would just wipe them out first because they're there.
Right. Okay, so she said it felt like that you had opened up a window and this clean spring wind was blowing through the house. Just wonderful and light, airy.
That was the spirits.
That was some
Yeah.
renew or something.
That was fabulous. That was fabuloso.
Fabuloso.
So 6 months later,
Smells like purple.
after the final cleansing, Debbie's son comes back over and he's paying a visit. He's going to help her do some repairs around the house. He's got some time, I guess. And David walks into the basement and screams for his mother to come there. The Ouija board that was in the basement.
Damn it.
With the same mark that David had put on the one with the
X on
knife.
back.
And broke it into pieces, and they tried to burn it, and it didn't work, and they threw it in the trash and got rid of it. And he goes into the basement, and here's this freaking Ouija board. After multiple times they've tried to get rid of it, and there it is in the basement. And so Debbie's at her end now. She says, "Okay, so I'm putting up the house for sale," and the house eventually did sell.
Now, have the people living there since?
I don't know.
had
I
any
didn't
problems.
didn't follow up, but she remained living there until it sold. And during those last days in the house, it never stopped harassing her. Objects would move, doors would slam, voices, whispers.
Nope. No.
She said she lived in constant fear until she finally left. And the house sold. The end.
Can you imagine? I mean, I know that maybe you two wouldn't, but not because you're heartless, but
Well,
I would feel really bad about
The cat.
selling. Yes. Well, I wouldn't have done it to the cat. Selling that to somebody.
Well-
like knowing.
This is my understanding. I mean, they can't lie about a stigmatized property, but they're not obligated to tell you. But if you ask, and I always ask every time I bought a house, I ask.
But, so, okay, but what are you asking? Are you
Has
asking?
anyone died in here? Is anyone, is it haunted?
I don't believe in ghosts.
Yeah, it's not the question I asked. Have you heard? Has the people before here said anything?
Let me talk to the owner.
I don't believe in
Did
ghosts.
you
I don't
conjure
believe
any
in
spirits? Have you sacrificed anything in the
I
basement?
don't believe in disembodied spirits. I don't believe in spirits.
anyone
So-
here
in this
sacrificed
state, they're
anything?
not required to disclose it. There are states that have it where
Yeah, they are.
they have to disclose any kind of stigma. It's a murder house, a dope house,
That's different. I mean,
haunted house.
that's different. If
Haunted?
somebody has died in the house, you can categorically say yes, someone has died, or no one has died in this house.
I'm gonna tell you this right now, Michael.
What?
Y'all got new construction.
I'm not going to kill any. I'm not going to kill anyone in a house.
No.
Yeah, we always buy new.
If
so- or we
somebody
have.
told me somebody died in the house, nope, mark it off. Not on the list.
Uh-uh.
Out. No.
What if it's a great deal?
I don't care.
What if it's half the market price for it?
No, it's probably a reason.
She might have sold her house to Zach Bagans. He buys.
Well, he may. Well, that's fine. He can.
He bought that one
I know he did.
demon house or whatever.
Well, and then you can. Yeah,
Didn't he end up tearing that down?
He
or-
ended up tearing it down. He kept like a staircase he put in the museum, but in Vegas there. But he did
No, well, when you have
after their week-long investigation. or
When you
whatever,
have
he tore it
That's
down.
kind of freaky that it's so bad that Zach Bagans.
when you have expendable cash like that, fine. But like for me, no.
If I was a wealthy,
Well, Debbie would have moved out.
I could see like buying people's allegedly haunted houses.
And doing like what we did and go and
Hell
like
yeah,
rent
turn
it.
it into a
Yeah, no, I
absolutely
understand
turn
that.
it into
Oh, yeah,
But
for
not as
sure.
my place of
make money off of it.
not
Hinsdale,
as my main,
like Hinsdale.
Hinsdale,
Yeah.
like Hills Manor or
So-
Haunted
but
Hill
not as my
House
main
or-
shelter. It's not going to be my main home.
Oh hell no! Mm-mm.
No,
Nope.
but you're talking to a guy who's lived in a couple. So
And this place looks haunted.
I have
John's
two.
lived in a haunted
I have
house.
two. And no,
Yeah.
and that's my fault. I just asked about the
People dying.
the
you didn't ask.
mother. I forgot to ask if their father died in the house because when they told me their mother recently passed away, that's why they were selling their parents' house. I said.
Did she die in the house?
I immediately said she died in the house, and my ex-wife looked at me like, "God, you rude." But I don't care. I'm asking.
Okay, and
And
unfortunately
they said
for
no, but I didn't think about the man.
for
the husband.
Debbie, you think about Debbie. Debbie didn't have a lot of expendable cash, obviously.
Yeah, because she wouldn't have stayed in there and been tortured for the last
Well, she
few days.
said,
They always do, though.
she said, I felt like I was trapped. I couldn't. Well, I mean, can you imagine? Let's say we bought this house, okay, for the price that we paid for it, okay, and it was haunted, okay. So now we got to leave this, but we can't live here, right?
Yeah, but this is White House, man. You'd flip this thing in a minute.
It's what I'm
I
saying.
know what you're saying.
You see
though.
what I'm
you
saying,
can't,
though?
You can't get
I
rid of it.
I can't just walk out of a property that I've got my whole life savings.
Yeah,
I've
especially
got
in her case.
10 years of equity that I've rolled into this
Right.
house.
Well, and you've already said that she had bought it as like a flip situation, like she was going to remodel it.
Yeah, but she was going to live there. That was her house.
No, I know that, but I'm saying
She wasn't
like, that
going
was
to flip it.
my point. Is she was going to remodel it and do things.
She
so
loved
we
it.
know it is not in a condition.
That
that
could
is-
probably easily be sold.
Right, that's my point.
Right.
And it's also freaky looking. Like if you didn't think that house was haunted, you dumb. Like it looks
So-
haunted.
But my point is, she felt trapped, and there's been several of these where we've gone over these houses that are haunted, or a demon gets in it or whatever, and these people can't leave. They don't have the funds
Unless you're George
to
Lutz,
leave.
then you can just abandon it because
The
you can't
Warrens.
afford it anyway.
Well, I mean,
so.
it happens. People get in
No, it
upside
does.
down, and
You're right.
it's
Yeah.
like, what do we do?
See, y'all are in a nice position. If this new construction house of yours,
Oh, yeah, I
ends
just-
up haunted,
I just
you
keep
got
my
enough
mouth
equity
shut.
already. You can flip this sucker in a heartbeat.
I just keep my
and
mouth
you'll be
shut
fine.
and wouldn't tell anybody when I sold it.
It'll take you about a week to sell it.
I don't believe in hauntings.
But in an old Victorian in the middle of Pennsylvania, like
well, not even in the middle of Pennsylvania. This is out in the boonies in Pennsylvania.
What was the name of the
did she call the
town?
Amish to come and clear it
Zieglerville.
out? Are there a bunch of Amish in Pennsylvania?
There are the Pennsylvania Dutch, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
maybe they could have something.
They're out in the boonies.
I'd be interested to see.
the population in that.
They're in Intercourse, Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
I don't know
unincorporated.
why they named the town.
Unincorporated community.
Oh, look, this place is nice.
It was only like a population of like 300 or 400 or something like that.
I'd like to know what happened
It's
to
tiny.
Nick.
This is a beautiful town.
I would too. I hope he got his poo-poo in perspective.
Poo-poo perspective.
Well, her shit together, however you want to say it. But I hope he got his
Well, I hope he's not
life.
Zieglerville, Pennsylvania is on like a best places to visit list. It is beautiful winter wonderland.
I'm sure that it is.
Not no Dexter's house.
And haunted, yeah.
Oh, Dee Dee doesn't have a great house to stay in, though.
Oh, it is in
Don't Airbnb that sucker.
southeastern Pennsylvania. It has a population of, let's see, I don't know. It's actually a really
I
nice
looked it
place.
up on the map, and it's like way down in the
It's in the bottom
southeastern
right corner.
Yeah.
It's the southeastern corner.
Oh, it has like a what is it? What's that called? Supposed to look like what's the arch that's in Rome?
It's beautiful. Lower
They
Frederick
have a Penhurst
Township.
Asylum.
Yeah, no.
Valley Forge
so
Natural.
it's about
Historic.
4,500 people.
Oh, is
The county's
Is that? I was thinking it was 100. I'm sorry.
856,000 in the county.
How many? Usually a community like that's pretty small, though. How many's
The bridge.
actually in?
So it's a unincorporated community in Lower Frederick Township.
Right.
So the total of Lower Frederick Township is 4,840 in the 2010 census.
Yeah, I think it's only like 300 or 400.
This seems like there'd be lots of covered bridges that Clint Eastwood would make a movie about.
I don't know about that. But
It is really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's beautiful there.
yeah.
And also in season
Good deer hunting too.
Season 6
yeah, no
episode of
doubt.
A Haunting Called Black Magic, it takes place in Obelisk, which is adjacent. And that's what
Obelisk?
this is, Obelisk. This is
Yeah,
that
that's
one.
the same one.
Yeah.
Same story.
If you do an image search of this town on Google, it's a winter wonderland.
Well, Pennsylvania's pretty as a standard anyway, in my opinion.
Not Pittsburgh.
Well, no.
Not Philly.
No. Yeah, but that's also like saying that there's some areas in Texas. That's really nice. No.
So we
no.
have relatives in the Altoona area, which is around the same general area. And I've been there in the wintertime, and it's really nice. Yeah. It's beautiful. Oh, here it is right here. A season 6 episode of Discovery Channel series A Haunting Called Black Magic takes place in Obelisk, a small town located just as Zegersville. So it's a super haunted ass area too.
Evidently.
Well, I feel bad for Debbie. I hope her.
I do too.
I hope her life ended up better than what
it turned
old
out.
Nikki gave her.
I hope Nick got the help that he needed. Is what I hope.
Same.
I hope.
Kick in the pants.
I hope Alicia
So
ended up in a good place.
people
Arc de Triomphe is what
are
I'm thinking
living
of.
in this. You can't go to this house. This is not like a place you can go and pay
No, I
to
don't
spend
think
the
so.
night.
No, it was. I know that the house was sold. She was able to sell it. I don't know anything after that. I didn't look any further.
If we're asking on the would I go, definitely. Just knock out all the Pennsylvania stuff at once. You gotta hit Pat's and Gino's in Philly for cheesesteaks, then John's roast pork, and then at
It's got to be about
the
food.
Reading Terminal Market. Then you got to go to Scranton and see all the sites from The Office. You know,
Apparently, you got
Gotta
to go
make
to
the office
Penhurst
tour.
Asylum while you're
Penhurst.
hitting up the...
Penhurst,
Asylum,
yeah.
Eastern State.
Eastern.
That's in
Yeah,
Pennsylvania.
it's
right?
Pennsylvania, too.
Yeah.
Eastern State. Yeah, definitely.
150-year-old home. See, there's where she went wrong on number 1.
And
Yeah.
then
So much can happen.
hit the Amish country.
I'd like to see
Get
that.
stuck behind those guys on the cart. Go. Cluck, 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 cluck. We're on the internet. They'll
Yeah,
never
but we
see us
don't-
talking bad about them because they.
Well, you know,
freaking
though, that's not
electricity.
fair to say that it's 150 years old. I mean, there's houses that are, just a few years old that are haunted.
No, I know that. But
You know, so-
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, hope it all ended up okay.
I hope it
for
ended
them.
well for
And I'm really
Debbie
hoping
and
the
Nick
people
and
that bought it.
There's no follow up on Nick.
Nick. I think Nick kind of just disappeared.
How about
So-
the poor sorry suckers that bought that house? Is there any follow up on that?
Maybe he ran off with Alicia,
And they lived happily ever after. They moved to,
Philly.
they moved out to L.A. and they're making corn movies and
Corn movies, huh?
corn, prawn. Because you can't say the other word.
Or New York's about 3 hours away. So
Oh, they make them
from
there
where-
too,
so
or
they'll-
Miami. Miami's a big place. Maybe they're doing that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the story of Debbie Guy, and so
Go get you some.
We think that's haunted to AF, and go get some Lafroig 10.
Break yourself in on that Pete.
Yeah.
Oh man,
It's pretty good.
that is good.
It's really good.
I liked it.
Like it too.
It's good winter beverage.
Agreed.
It is a good winter.
It
I
is
think that's a
good
good
winter.
all year round beverage.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't crave peated stuff in the summer.
You don't?
Too heavy or something?
Yeah, actually, summer is just tequila pretty much. And beer.
Yeah, I want
cold beer.
I want vampiritas and that kind of stuff in the summer.
Bourbon and scotches, especially peated scotches, is more of a
Only
cold weather thing.
Mm-hmm. The only time that I drink beer is summertime.
Yeah. Now I like darker beers, your Guinnesses and your Scotch ales. You know, your high ABV, darker alcohol beers. That I like that in the winter. I want nothing to do with it in the summer.
It's too heavy.
Summer, I want Pils and lager. That's it.
The thing is, for even like the dark beers, like the stouts and stuff like that, I want one, and then I'm done. I'm one and done on that. I just because you can't.
Shit, I can kill a pint of Guinness in 3 rings and
Nope.
go through about 4 of them in a sitting.
No, sir. Well, thank you.
All right,
Go get you some Lafroig.
y'all have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Peel these things off my ear.
So much less sweaty though than it has been all summer.
That was a good
Yeah?
story.
I thought that was a good story. Too many names.
It's like there should be some. It was a lot to keep track of.
There's too many names.
There wasn't an Anita Dick.
That's the best name so far.